Y'all don't ask me what I'm doing up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I do not know. My brain would not shut up. So this first half is, I'm just on autopilot. So here we go. Let's get our meat batch cooking done. Got our ground beef. This is the 73%. I do not need broth this week, so I am not going to add extra water. But when I do leaner meat, I have to add water. When I do 93%, I have to add water. 80-20 a little bit, but the leaner the meat, the more water you have to add, or for me, it gets burned. You do what works for you, but with the really fatty kind, it just makes so much fat that it doesn't cling to anything. So I've got this is a 10 pounder. I've got 5 pounds in here, 5 pounds in here. I'm going to turn it on low. I am not seasoning it. If you want to season yours, that's fine. I use these slow cook liners. If you don't want to use them, that's fine too. So I've got this one, and I put the lid on, and we're going to come in every hour and chop these up. This is part of my meal prep that I do when I need meat. So I will see you in an hour. This is how it looks after an hour. I just come in every hour. Still a little frozen in the inside. I use a 10-pound log, and I set it out before I go to bed. So sometimes it's defrosted by morning, and sometimes it's not. And this one is not, so the center is still pretty frozen. So I come in every hour and chop that up. And I chop this one up. Let's kind of go down the center. And I just like to pull it apart so it doesn't become one big long meatloaf. I always say I want to try it and let it be a meatloaf, but I never do. So I just come in and do this every hour. And again, if you're wanting broth, you can add water and you'll have really good broth. But like I said, I do not season it because whenever I use it, I want it to be a blank slate. So I'm going to beat this off, and I'll be back in one more hour. It's 7:30, and you can see there's a lot of rendered fat. So I try to kind of scrape the edges a little bit as I go. Gently, though, so I don't tear my baggie. I know some people say don't cook in plastic, which, hey, that's your way of doing it. That's cool. I just... I use it because I have a lot of stuff to clean up on meal prep day. And after I finish this ground beef, I'll be cooking chicken in the same crock pot. So I ain't got time for all the fancy stuff. Now we'll do this one, and then I'll see you guys in another hour. Okay, so it's been another hour. Now, I know, if somebody wanted to stand over their stove and do this, that's another method for people who, have that kind of time. Since this has started, I have been able to go to the Walmart. I have been able to cook up some other foods if I wanted to. I've been able to game. I've been able to play outside with the puppy dogs. So, you're just come in every hour. So, like I said, it's just a personal preference, and it's easiest for me. Just, again, go in around those edges and pull it away from the edges to keep them, that steam's got it foggy, sorry. And pull it away from the edges, and then just to kind of help break it up. And there we go. So, I'll see you again. If you wanted it a pink, you could stop now. I don't mind it being pink, but it's still a little gummy. Like right there. See how that's gummy? And these are more separated. So I'm going to give it another hour, and then we will portion it up. When your meat is to your liking, when my meat is to my liking, I pour it into this colander, and that sits in this glass bowl. I let it strain and cool off. I let it strain for a minute, and then I'm going to do the other one. But this is why I use plastic bags. When it works, it works. And I really just have to run a little soap water in there and it's done. Nothing clinging to the edges. So I'm going to do the other one and I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so what I do is the first one, after it's drained, I put it into here. I put the juice into here because then I have to put the second one in the colander and drain it. And if the colander is sitting in here, it will overflow. But I like this one to store my fat in the refrigerator. Whenever I use this one, I can't really get the fat out as well. So anyway, so I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let this harden up. Something I did last time and I'm going to do this time is I'm going to rinse it off. Yes, I know. Judge me. Don't rinse yours, whatever you want to do. But I am trying to rinse off a little bit of that excess fat as well as cool it down just a little faster. So I'm going to rinse it off. You ain't got to rinse yours. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to let it sit it cool until it is cool enough that I can by hand put it into Ziploc baggies or with my scooper. Either way, I want this to cool down to where it's not going to melt the plastic Ziploc bags. So in the meantime, let's go do our chicken. All right, now we're going to do our chicken. Now just remember, it's just like in nursing school. If you're going to put a Foley catheter in somebody or start an IV, you want a clean hand and a dirty hand. Well, this is my clean hand over here, and this is my dirty hand right here. Oop. My timer's going off. Hold on. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to start lining these up. I've done it both ways. I've done it when I open them, and I've done it when I left them closed. Last time I opened them, this time I'm just going to leave them closed. It's just going to be a lot faster. So I'm going to line the bottom of this with chicken. Alright, so I've got the bottom row done. I'm going to add just a little bit of water, maybe a half cup or so. Now I got to open up all these things. I should have had that done, but I'm not always best at planning things. Your chicken is going to make a whole lot of broth, okay? So you don't need to add a lot of water. But you do want seasonings. Oh, I forgot my salt. Hold on. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to add some salt. And you're going to do this on each level. So I'm going to do this level, and then I'll do another level. This is some onion pepper. We're going to add some campfire grilling dust, some orange pepper, and some garlic lovers, and some of my sister's Mojo seasoning, and then this Spice Age Bravo Avo. Now you add whatever seasonings you want to. And now I'm going to do, now I'm going to top it off with so I'm going to do 2 bags of chicken in each crock pot. So now I'm going to put this row in here and I'll be right back. Okay, you may not have to season the 2 layers, but I season both layers just to make sure it's all in there. So I top it with the same things I just put in it a while ago. And then you cover, I have mine on low, and I cover it for about 3 to 4 hours. When it's just like anything else. If you stick a fork in it and turn it, it's done. So now I'm going to do the other one, and I'll be right back. Really quick, something I want to say. If you are going to be using this broth, if you're going to be making it for broth because you want broth for various things, I personally would not season it because, like when I watch Chef Jean-Pierre, they talk about you want a plain broth. So you don't really want to, if you're going to use broth, you're going to make a broth so that you can use in all kinds of things. The point of broth is to have it unseasoned. So, and if you're going to be using your broth for your animals, anything your animals have anything to do with, make sure you're careful and you don't use things like onion powder. So, all right, now I'll get this one done. And I'll give them a couple hours, about 3 hours, and we'll take a look. And I'll show you where they're at in about 3 hours. And as usual, if your you're dealing with chicken. So if you touched anything, if your seasonings touched anything, you make sure you wipe everything off really good. And even if you're wearing gloves, they teach us in nursing school, wash your hands anyway, because it's just the safe thing to do. Okay, now that's where they are. I'm going to let them sit. I've got the timer for 3 hours right now, and we'll check back in 3 hours. I have a feeling it's going to be closer to 5 or 6 hours, but because I put so much in there, and some of them are partially frozen. But that's all right. But we'll at least check it in 3 hours. All right, here's my setup. I'm just going to leave my ground beef in there, so that way I don't have to dirty up another container. And I'm going to do 6 ounces of ground beef. So we're going to see how many scoops that is. I think I finally found a scoop that just might be good. Whoop, I got to have my units on. Ounces, so that's 4 ounces. Oh, I could do a little more than that. 6.1. I'm going for 6 ounces, okay? So I want 6 ounces in each serving. So I'll just set them up and fill them up to 6 ounce. Oh, I switched units on me. Alright, so anyway, I want each one to be 6 ounces. Again, my ground beef is not seasoned. If you want seasoned, absolutely season it. I just use it for such a variety of things. I don't want to commit to one particular type of seasoning. So I could do salt, but also I use my fat afterwards. I use my fat for the dogs. So if you use the fat for you, you might want to season it based on how you're going to use the fat. But all right, well, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to get these to 6 ounce baggies, and I'll show you how many we got when we're done. So here's what we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 bags of 6 ounces of 73%. I don't remember how much it was. You can look at it, but so we got 8 days worth of food, 8 days worth of lunches and suppers if you want to go that route, with 6 ounces. Now, if you do bigger amounts, then it won't be that many. But yeah, so we've got 16 meals right here. So when the chicken's done, we'll catch up and take a look at those. Now, what I do with these is I pop them in the freezer, and then I keep 4 days defrosting at all times. And so what I've been doing lately is lunch is beef, supper is chicken, and I just alternate the two. So I'll just freeze these nice and flat, and then I will be able to stack them up whenever I'm done. But I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the freezer, and I'll be back to you when the chicken's done. It's been 3 hours. Oh gosh, they're not even... Is it even on? That's on low. Look at that. They're still pure raw. It's going to be a long time. Maybe I'll kick it up to high for a couple hours. You're going to hear crunching in the background. The dogs are eating. So what I like to do now with this is hard. I kind of sped up time. I actually put it in the freezer for a couple hours. But I'll take a knife, kind of just run around the edges. I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I kind of ran it around a little bit, and now what I do is I tip it. Yeah, that's what I like about using this bowl, is I tip it over, and I leave behind that broth and that gelatin. And sometimes I take it, sometimes not, but today, since I got a good solid mass, I'll just leave that gelatin behind. And that could go in a broth or whatever you wanted it to be in. Now, hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so if you were wanting like pure tallow, or you were looking to try to purify this, I've seen people do it and they just scrape all the brown off and then they remelt it down over and over and over. Well, that ain't what I do it for. This is for my dogs. So I'm actually going to heat up my oven. I did this last time. I'll heat up my oven to 350 until it melts. when it melts, I'll show you what I do after that stage. So last time I did this, I took the gelatin in the bottom and I put it into a Ziploc bag. And so I do not need beef broth, but you could put this in a Ziploc bag and you could freeze it and freeze it flat and pull it out anytime you needed some beef broth. So like I said, this is not seasoned, so this would work for a lot of things. I'm going to throw mine out. So yeah, so I'm just going to toss this out and that'll be the end of that. So all right, I'll show you when the other melts. I went ahead and pulled the chicken out. I can just stick a fork in it and it pulls right apart. So now I'm going to separate it from the liquid, and I'll put it in that same colander I had the ground beef in earlier, and I'll be back. I strained the chicken, and this is what was in both crock pots. I went ahead and put them in this crock pot, and I'll show you the broth. That's the amount of broth I got, and I only put about a cup of broth in water in each one. So that's how much broth it generates. So that's why I can't save the broth every time. I'm just going to let it sit here in the sink until it cools off, and then I'm going to toss it outside. But yeah, so that's that. So I just wanted to show you that's the amount of broth I have. And there's my broth melted, and I'll let it harden up and I'll cut it into bite-sized chunks. And I put them in a Ziploc bag. I can either use it to season up my food, or I can give it to the dogs. So you use your leftover rendered fat however you want to, but this is how it turns out. So let's finish up our chicken. The chicken is steaming, so I'm just going to let it sit here. I might put it in the refrigerator, but either way it needs to cool down. So when it cools down, we'll get it bagged up in Ziploc bags. So for my chicken, I'm going to do 8 grams. So I'm going to zero this out. And I'm just going to use my glove because I didn't break them up a whole lot. Oop, no, not grams. I do 8. Oh, shoot, Terry. 8 ounces. I'll get it right in a minute. I do 8 ounces of chicken. 7.4. 7.7. Nope, too much. All right, so I'm going to do 8 ounces of chicken in each bag. And when I don't know how many chicken thighs that is. Let's try whole ones. 1, 2. Well, looks like maybe about 2.5 chicken thighs. So, all right, well, I'm going to get these done and I'll be back. Okay, so 4 family-sized containers of chicken. They were anywhere from $12 to $14 a piece. Made 20 meals. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20. So 20 meals of chicken. So that is 10 days worth of food for 10, 20, 30, 40. We'll just say for $50. So 50 divided by 10. Is that $5? Yeah. No, 50 divided by 20. So each of these, that's $2.50. You can't even get a hamburger. A quarter pound, which is only 4 ounces. You can't even get a quarter pound. And this is half a pound right here. So there you go. I'll show you it all put together. Hang on. And there you go. That is my meal prep for my ground beef and my chicken. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, it's a lot of days. Y'all heard me say the numbers. I can't remember what they are, but there you go. That was my meal prep today. Oh, and I did get 2 jars of broth. Hang on. So here they are. I went ahead and did 2 jars of chicken broth. I didn't need them. I still have tons of them in there. But there you go. And you saw how I do my beef fat. So that'll go to treats for the dogs. So there you go. That's my meal prep today.